Jeff Garrett and I are here with Kristie McNally, the acting director of the United States Mint. As our guest today, Kristie brings a lot to the table, and we have a lot of questions we want to ask her. She joined the United States Mint in September of 2014 and has served the Bureau in key roles, including Chief Financial Officer, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, and Controller of the Mint. She's got more than 25 years of experience in manufacturing operations, and she's worked for two government entities that are self-funding, operating at their own expense, with no cost to the public. Kristie served 13 years also as a federal law enforcement officer before she joined the Mint, and she finds herself today as acting director.
Welcome, Kristie. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today because, as we know, the U.S. Mint is really an important part of all coin collectors. Whether it depends what you collect or if you're a dealer, it's what the U.S. Mint does is really a big interest to us all, and we appreciate you willing to discuss with us some issues that are going on with the U.S. Mint and come up with some good questions, I think. And first one I wanted to ask is, how do you like being acting director of the U.S. Mint? How's the experience so far?
I feel extraordinarily lucky to be the acting director right now for the Mint. It's been quite the opportunity. We have a great story to tell right now, and we're really innovating and doing a lot of exciting things, and our staff are incredible. So what an opportunity it is for me to be able to be acting director during this time.
I think that's really cool too. I mean, I can only imagine for those of us in the hobby, like Jeff and myself, it's like a dream job, to oversee it. And I'm sure it's not a dream job in some ways. It sounds like there's a lot of logistical things. You're really a huge production company, are you not?
Yes, we are. We're a huge production company, and we have law enforcement and all kinds of different aspects that we're responsible for. And luckily, I have a lot of experience. I'm former law enforcement. I've grown up in the manufacturing environment. I used to work for Federal Prison Industries for quite some time. So I was really lucky. It's kind of my niche that I can actually work in and utilize some of those skills. I have a banking and finance degree too. So all of it helps me out quite a bit to lead the Mint right now.
Yeah, sounds ideal.
When I think about we did a podcast last week about mint errors from the as a collectible thing, and it kind of made us think about the whole manufacturing process. We talked about that quite a bit, like how does that happen, and different things like that, and it kind of reminds me about what being running the U.S. Mint is not just about like deciding what coins are and about collectibles, but you really are a manufacturer. I think that's just really fascinating from that standpoint, that you're not just running sales of mint sets and proof sets. You're actually a big factory making billions of things.
Yeah, and generating billions in revenue also. So it's a great thing. We love being different in the government, and the fact that we are self-sufficient. We don't receive an appropriation, and we have such a unique purpose, and it really does equip us with a lot of skills of the private sector, because basically we're operating that way. So it's a really unique opportunity for us.
As we all know, so much of the world is going digital, and things are changing quite a bit. How do you see the long-term future of the U.S. Mint, and the fact that it's obviously there's going to be less demand for coins, I assume. John and I travel to coin shows, and in Europe, some countries, you can't even spend money really. It's like you have to, if it's not on your credit card, they don't take money. And how do you see that's going to impact the U.S. Mint going forward?
Well, I think we still have the unbanked community that we have to cater to, the people that don't have bank accounts. So we're still providing circulating coins for them. But one of the things is we're really driving towards a numismatic nature and looking at how we can grow that. We see a lot of opportunity there. I mean, all of us have seen people that collect challenge coins and do all those things. So the collector market's still there. So we're just trying to drive to see where those opportunities exist for us. Of course, we're still going to maintain the collectability of all the numismatics that we have, and reaching out to the numismatists and trying to keep those solid core things that we're doing. But we're also trying to step outside the box and do some things to cater to new opportunities.
Right. With the elimination of the penny possible next year, and then also people using less money, and young people, hobby leaders are concerned about the people collecting coins, because as you just say, even the U.S. Mint understands that collectors are going to be an important part of what your financial future. One of the things John and I have talked about before is like, trying to promote the hobby, because Whitman Publishing, does all the books and different things, and we're both involved with John is executive director of the Professional Numismatic Guild, and I'm on the board there. We're always trying to promote the hobby, and one of the things the hobby leaders have trouble is trying to promote coins, but on a like mass market, because we can't really afford to like do a got milk program about hey, collect coins. It's really fun, but the U.S. Mint is one of the groups that have the revenue and can promote. And I think it was several years ago, it was we had one of those Mint forums, which I don't know, had you been to some of the Mint forums that they had in the last
Yes.
and it talked about the U.S. Mint had an advertising budget for coins that was maybe at one level, but then they started changing that, and it seemed like there was a correlation with less revenue. Do you think that the U.S. Mint can do more promoting of the hobby in general, or what's your thoughts on that?
So, of course, our mission is connecting America through coins. So we do a lot of educational outreach that helps get to some of the target communities and the youth to teach them about circulating coins and whatnot. But we also have, through the Circulating Coin Redesign Act, which is leading our semi-quincentennial and the American Women Quarters, we were given some opportunity for marketing. So we're utilizing some of those avenues, but we're also using social media and trying to get out there to the new things like podcasts and whatnot to try to reach different markets and get to consumers in the way that they're using. And we're always looking at new aspects and different ways to reach out to the market to get them to know where we're at. So, and I think some of those collaborations we're doing, such as DC Comics, they're going to help pave some of that avenue for us too, because they have different markets that they can target. So through those collaborations, I think we'll get to some of those other areas.
We're all sitting here trying to, find new ways to reach people. And I think that's why Jeff and I are doing these podcasts. And it's really wonderful that you've joined us on the podcast. I think it only makes it richer and a better experience. I'll say the next year with I think I hear that within the Mint, you call it the semi-Q, because I don't know, semi-quincentennial, is that if that's proper. It doesn't feel like a word that rolls off the tongue, but the semi-Q is a nice term. So next year is the 250th anniversary of the United States Mint. And it's my impression that the current administration is like super excited about that. It's very patriotic. It's really, America forward. What are some of the plans that you guys have for it? Because I know that's a huge rollout.
So we've been given the ability to redesign all of our circulating coins. So that's one way we're looking into things. We have a Best of the Mint collection coming out, which will be a redesign of some of our voted upon from our consumers designs that we'll bring back in a gold version with a corresponding silver kind of redesign based upon the original aspects. That'll be a set there. And then we have some other exciting things that we're not availing just yet, but we're working with the 250th, America's 250th on some options, and we're looking to have a coin unveiling in November timeframe in Philadelphia. So people will get to see some of the new things, but we're really looking to share America's birthday and the story of our 250 years through designs and other opportunities.
Yeah, I did see an email last week with the re-release of the 1916 quarter in gold. So if that's obviously something you've already come out with. And I think that was part of a program that we did in 2016 with that. It was a beautiful coin, a standing Liberty quarter in gold. So and this time I think a privy mark is added, and hopefully this becomes part of, I think, a collectible series for people. When the Mint talks about collectibles, I think it's important for us to distinguish, or numismatic. You say numismatic. You have two categories, right? One is numismatic, and then one is circulating. Is that how you say it? You say circulating coinage versus numismatic?
Yes, and then we separate our bullion, our investment portfolio out a little bit differently.
So kind of three different things then, is that right? So bullion,
yes,
circulating, and a lot of coin collectors, really hone in the more you start out as a coin collector, with what you call numismatic, right? The promotion, the really interesting, flashy things. But the coin collectors really love circulating coinage that's scarce or in a superior grade that's not found, like the super high grade Lincoln cent or things like that. So I think that's an interesting distinction. I just wanted to point out as I heard it.
Silver Eagles are probably the most collected coin there is, and that's from the bullion. Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's probably more people collecting Silver Eagles actively than almost any other coin.
I think that was an accidental collectible, right? I don't think that the United States Mint ever expected the silver eagle. For whatever reason, the maple leaf at Canada's bullion coin never did pick up this kind of collectible aspect. So the U.S. Mint was really, really shown, itself with this project and silver eagles. We love them, and in fact, we're just publishing another book on silver eagles with David Ryder and John Mercanti's coming out in the next month or two. Shameless plug for Whitman. I'm sorry, but it's such an important series, and the book does incredibly well.
And a lot of the big coin companies in the United States, they consider that the gateway coin to get people to collect, because that's how they essentially get new customers. They'll advertise Silver Eagles, and then once they have that customer, then they try to sell them other coins.
Yeah, no, we view any coin that we do, we want to produce the best quality coin no matter what. If it's an investment piece, if it's a circulating coin, we put just as much effort and design opportunity to anything that we're able to touch. So we can see why it's selected.
Yeah.
Clearly. So I guess you just did a recent release, something new from the Mint was to do something with DC Comics and the Superman coin. You want to tell us about that program? Is there anything you can share?
So we're collaborating with DC Comics. We just pre-released our Batman or our Superman coin. Our Superman coin, that's going very well. And we have 2 more coins coming out this year. And next week at the ANA, we're going to unveil some designs for next year's coins. And we're really excited about it. The collaboration's been very interesting. We have some comic book collectors that are on our design team that are super excited to be involved in this program. We think it will bring in some new collectors and a different community. So we're excited about it.
I think the fact that the United States Mint has even done a licensing deal, and I don't know if that's the first, but let's say with DC, opens the door to it's sort of an unlimited amount of things, whether we're talking about sports franchises or things like that. I don't know where you take it, but I can dream, and that's what I would dream, is things like that.
Yeah, I think you're dreaming in the right direction. Good dreaming.
Good. I'll keep dreaming. We'll be right back with our conversation with Kristie McNally, Acting Director of the United States Mint. I'm John Feigenbaum, CEO and publisher of Whitman Brands, the company behind Gray Sheet, Redbook, and all the Whitman collecting products that you know and love. On the Redbook podcast, Jeff Garrett and I bring you insider perspectives on coin collecting and the most important and influential guests in the hobby. No hype, no fluff. We're just here to give practical advice and insights that you're not going to get anywhere else on any other channels on YouTube. So please subscribe today for expert analysis that cuts through all the noise. And please like this video. And if you find it valuable, drop a comment into there so we can read your thoughts, and we will do our best to respond to every one of them. Thank you.
Yeah.
The one thing I was asking about, some people have mentioned to me, is it's good to get things for young collectors, but some people feel the price points are awful high to try to get young people. And like not many young people can afford a $3,000 Superman coin. Would there be some things maybe in the quarter programs or so other things for young people? Price points get mentioned quite a bit.
So I think one thing that will aid in that, we're releasing the silver and the gold this year, but next year we'll start releasing our clad coins. There'll be a 3-coin clad set, and then they'll be released individually. So that should really help with the price point and allow some opportunity to the younger investors.
Can you imagine, Jeff, like a Superman dime or something? I bet the licensing fees get out of hand with that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that would drive us over in circulating, and we need Congress to approve us doing that. So that would be a little trickier, but I think the clad will be a good price point for everyone. Probably for us government employees also.
Yeah, for all of us.
We had also heard about some coin programs tailored for youth sports. Is that something that's in the plans?
Yes, after the semi-Q, we'll be doing a youth sports program. We actually just did a survey to the public, asking them to vote upon what they thought were the top sports. And we'll be working on that and releasing those. We're excited about that. We've had a lot of good input on it. And luckily, it interacts with some other great sporting events such as the Olympics, FIFA. All of that will be happening during our sports program. So we couldn't have timed it any better. It's really going to be an exciting time frame for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that
Some
is
of the sport,
awesome.
what are some of the sports that you'll, because people ask me that, what are some of the sports you think that'll be represented?
Well, so I don't want to release them just yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, you can think some of the popular sports will definitely be
Soccer
featured.
for
I
sure, for
will
instance.
say my kids both played lacrosse, and I know they really were voting for that one. So hopefully that will be a part of it. It's growing in the United States. So hopefully we'll see that and a few unique sports that people are really starting to grow and be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, right. Mom, please get a lacrosse coin out there, right? I mean, that's a
Right?
lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure you're facing, I'm sure. And I'm guessing
Yeah.
soccer, youth soccer is so much bigger than, professional soccer here in the US, but it's great. I mean, if it brings attention to the sports, if it brings attention to the coins, like I
Mhm.
said, what you call circulating, I think Jeff and I call numismatic, and so I understand the distinction within the mint, but it all matters to us, and we especially love, real scarcity when things happen kind of like by mistake. Let's say you issue a lacrosse coin, and then for whatever reason you only made 25,000 of them, and the production stopped, and then you just moved on to soccer and made 2 million. That would then become really, or you add a W mint mark to things, and all of that is very interesting and beloved by the hobby. So it all works out. The more you make, the more likely some things will become set stoppers, as we call them, and things that are keys. And at Whitman, we like to make folders and albums to house those things. If folks are taking, their kids who are participating in youth sports and buying them an album, a folder, and saying, okay, we're going to collect all the coin, the quarters or whatever designs you make with those designs on them, everybody's now talking about them. And I just think that's a real great gateway, as Jeff says, to, all kinds of collecting. And silver eagles are just becoming expensive for the, for certainly for young people. A silver eagle with how much silver costs is becoming a little bit prohibitive as well.
Agreed.
So
And just think about, as a parent, I know how much time I spend on sports, and they're such an integral part of my kids' childhood. It really will have a connection with parents and kids alike.
Good. John, I'd be curious to know from you and I guess Kristie, because on the production side, but when I started collecting by Lincoln pennies, and maybe you did too, and so millions of people started collecting Lincoln pennies. And I've told people I think the coin now that people start is more like quarters, because you guys make so many different ones, and they're really like a search thing. How does that how do album sales reflect that? Do you sell more penny albums or more quarter, more? What do you see from like on the boots on the ground level? I was kind of curious, like what do new people start collecting now? Do they like, if you want to get your kid involved in coins, do you get them started with quarters, or are you still starting with pennies?
Well, as you asked, from our standpoint at Whitman, I think the top selling albums and folders are still pennies. And of course now even more so, right? I mean, there's a lot of interest in pennies because they're making news every day, and the conversations around it. So but second place for certain is quarters. And it's not nickels and dimes, but believe it or not, we do sell quite a few of all these albums. And then silver dollars, silver eagles, these are very popular, for sure. But pennies is currently the gateway coin for collecting.
Interesting. You really have some good analytics about how people collect from when they do start. So I think that's good information.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I have to see, and that will evolve, I think, especially as the hobby gets away from the 1 cent coin, and that the world changes. We talked about some of your new issues. One of them too that I'm excited about is your service dog coins that I've heard that did pass, right, to have those. Have you heard
Yes.
about that? Okay.
Yes, it did pass. And
Yep.
we're very excited about it too. We've gotten to interact with some of the service animals. So very excited about it. I know when the stamps came out for the service dogs, I was a huge collector on that. My husband's actually canine for the Secret Service and has a bomb
Really?
stamping dog. So I definitely am one of the customers this program's going to cater to. So
Well, that's funny. Can we start lobbying on what dogs will be represented?
I don't know. I don't think so, but
I like corgis. So
Yeah.
Corgis
And
are cute for sure.
I'm going to vote Cavachon, which probably is, a small little dog. So, so jumping back over to the Silver Eagle conversation very, very quickly, you've announced recently quite a few of Privy Marks in addition to the Silver Eagle releases this year. I think we've seen what the Army has already been released, and there's going to be Navy. I don't know, are all the armed forces being released this year?
It'll be everyone that's having a 250th anniversary. So we'll have the Army, the Marine Corps, and the Navy will all have Privy Marks. And then we're doing one for a laser engraved Privy Mark also.
That was interesting.
Yes. So we've been working on that. It'll be our first of that series, the laser engraving. And then next year we'll have some other exciting Privy Marks that'll be placed on coins.
That's fun, right? That's really fun and interesting and creates conversation, and people will collect all of them. There's no question about it. I didn't understand the 250th aspect to the Army and so on, and I guess it makes sense that the Air Force is not 250 years old, but that's why. So they'll have to wait a few years.
Can you elaborate? I'm sure maybe some listeners want to elaborate. What's a laser? Explain the laser Privy Mark thing, because I guess I don't know what that is exactly. What is that?
So we're going to laser engrave the coin, and then we'll have a laser engraving Privy Mark that will actually be there. That actually represents. It's a symbol to represent the actual laser engraving.
Okay, so it's onto the coin or onto the dies. It's laser engraved on the dies or on the coins themselves.
The actual dies.
The dies will be laser engraved. Okay.
So the Silver Eagle itself will be different, slightly different, because the whole coin is going to be re-engraved or something.
Well, it will look very similar. It's just being done with a different process.
Okay, so you're celebrating the fact that there's a new process. Is that process going forward going to be everything's going to be laser engraved? Is that the possibility?
Yes, that's something we're looking towards moving forward to, is doing some laser engraving.
Okay.
It'll be much more technical though. I think when people think laser engraving, they think like the small, not so intricate, but we'll keep our same quality of our coins by doing it. But it just makes it quicker, a lot better carry over to other coins and whatnot. So I think we're actually releasing the laser engraved Privy Mark next week at the ANA also.
Oh, okay. That'd be neat. John, it's more and more reasons for people want to go to the ANA show next week. It sounds like you got some fun stuff that are going on.
It's going to be fabulous, but I won't be there.
Yeah.
I'm taking vacation. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Kristie, I want to ask you, as I've been working with the Red Book for probably 20 some odd years, and the Red Book is a price guide, but also it's information for people. And it's kind of like, I'm proud of the book because like everyone has one on their desktop, like a collector's, or, they're just started, or someone is in advance. And one of the reasons that they like this book is because we take mintages really, really seriously. We try to we're trying to be the go-to place for mintage figures. And, sometimes I know John, we talk about it, it has been over the years. Sometimes that's a fuzzy moving target, because like how many got made, how many got distributed. I mean, it's more complicated than most people realize. Well, what's your take on mintages, and can you give, maybe people are listening, how do you keep track of those? How do you report those? And what's your general take on mintage figures, which is such an important thing for collectors, of course.
So we try to meet customer demand and what we think it will be. I know that might not be the most popular with collectors. They rather see rarities, but we do try to make all customers happy and get some of our coins. We don't real time do numbers on mintages or production numbers. We do produce our sales though online, so people can see how many units have been sold of the different various coins. So they can see that aspect of what's out there, but we don't really keep track of how many we've been producing or present those numbers.
It's an interesting challenge because it almost feels like Jeff said, in some ways, the Red Book has been the historic record for keeping track of it. And it's, and our editor, Diane, she'll just try to keep track. She'll say, oh, last week they shipped, 232,000 units, and we'll add that to the current tally and things like that. And I mean, we certainly wish in a different world that you guys had those exact numbers, but we'll just put that in the suggestion box if you don't mind or something. But it's it's just interesting, and collectors do really care. Although I do argue with Diane about some things. Where I'll say, does it really matter if it's 4,632,973,232 or 236? Because she will keep track of it to the single unit as best she can. But anyway, it's that has always been something. Another question that we had for you was about making, this is a shift now from coinage to bars. Other world mints are starting to make bars and things like that. There's huge companies in Europe, for example, where bars are much more popular in Europe than they are in the United States, but it can always change. And given the credibility of the United States Mint, are you guys considering making bullion bars and doing things like that?
It's something that we're always looking into. I think we reevaluate it pretty often. As I mentioned earlier, we're looking to kind of step outside the box and do new things. So it's something that we have been looking into recently. All sorts of non-round type objects that we're looking at. So I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. It could happen. And we definitely are looking into doing things like that.
Cool deal.
Yeah, it's interesting that we go to the John and I go to Berlin every year, and we get to see what all these world mints are doing, and it's like a bewildering array of all the different. These guys are so far out there, and they make bullion, but then they look like different things, and they're very, very creative. So it is interesting to stay ahead of the curve. There is a lot of I don't know, just creative things, but as far as bullion, that's people look now as your silver and gold eagles bullion, but I think bars would be pretty I think they'd be well accepted in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think so too. So what's in the future for us?
Jeff reported recently, it was news to me what did that in the semi-Q you're doing a Liberty Bell shaped coin. So I mean that's unique, right? I mean the United States Mint, to my knowledge, has the United States Mint ever done anything that wasn't round? We had the octag, right? I mean, Jeff's looking at me like I'm an idiot. Okay. In 1915, we had a pan pack exposition with octagonal coin, but not too often. What am I missing, Jeff?
Well, the Norse medals were octagonal, I guess.
But they're medals. Yeah, not
medals.
coin, not a coin.
And not coins. That would probably be it.
Wow, maybe somebody will put in the comments that we missed something, but it's pretty unique to be doing something in a different shape, and we commend you for that. I do anyway. I think it's really great. Hopefully, it becomes a national story. Like this is the first time since 1915, and so on and so forth. And we're getting a lot of phone calls about things like that, getting questions as numismatists. What is going on at the Mint? Why are they getting rid of the penny? Do I think that getting rid of the penny is going to change the world? And I try to tell anybody, say, listen, I'm a coin dealer, not an economist. I can't tell you about how Walmart is going to react to not having pennies in their drawer. I can guess, and since you want me to, I will. But generally speaking, we're just coin people, and we know how collectors react, and Jeff knows how big marketers of coins react, but we're not economists, and we'd be lying if we told you what gold was going to do next year or things like that. We just go with the flow. That's all we can do, and we can have people like yourself on these podcasts to talk about projects you're working on, and if we can make small influences to the programs, then we really feel good about ourselves. So.
But it is, John, and also Kristie, is very important because, what Whitman does really services and is an important key for people who are starting out in coin collecting. And the U.S. Mint, of course, I mean, it's just crucial because what you guys do is, I call them seeds of numismatics. Without the seeds, we won't have, advanced coin collectors. So you definitely need the seeds, and it is really important. So everything you do, the success of what you do is really important to all of us. That's why we appreciate being able to talk to us. On another subject, and something you've done recently, in the hobby, we'll call them mystery boxes have become popular. I don't know if you saw them, like there's a thing called the vault box, and people like buy a box, they don't know what they're going to get, they get a surprise. And you guys in 2024 did the silver, the flowing hair silver medal, and then some people could get the Privy Mark silver coin by like a random, luck. And that just created a ton. I mean, people, even like all my friends were all like so excited, and they're like, oh, this is, it really created a lot of buzz. Did you guys have a positive feedback, or did you guys think that's something you guys might do in the future? Because it seems super popular.
I think so. I'll say a lot of thought went into that. We were a little nervous that we could get some negative reaction, that not everyone would get it. So we were a little bit hesitant, but we did get great feedback on that program. And it was something that, like I said, we're trying to do new and unique things. And it was something that came up as a great idea by someone that's amazing at the Mint. And they really targeted that and followed it through and really drove that project, even though some people were a little hesitant, and it ended up being a great project. And I think we'd love to do more of that. So you never know what kind of Easter eggs are coming your way. We're going to try to do
that. I've heard them call that before too. That's a great term.
Yeah.
I love seeing you guys take some risk. I mean, it's, so many organizations are unwilling to take risk. And, the United States Mint, the government traditionally has just been, a great example of not risk taking. So for so many years, I mean, look, the Lincoln penny as an example is essentially the same obverse since 1909. The Roosevelt dime, it's time, to make some changes here. Why not? And you will, everything you do is going to get, especially with the day of the internet, there's always going to be somebody who says, oh, that was a horrible idea, you guys are idiots. But taking risks, we do it since we took over at Whitman a couple of years ago. We keep taking risks and trying things. And, my biggest, so far, the mistake, I don't know if it's a mistake because I still love the idea, but it didn't work, was I made a pink album for the American Women Quarter Series. I said, if women are going to buy, and we want more women collectors, if women are going to buy these American Women Quarters, they don't want to stick them in a blue album. That doesn't seem like, so I said, and the Barbie movie had just came out. So I thought, let's make a pink album. And to no one's surprise but my own, it hasn't sold out incredibly well. But maybe, maybe that'll change. We call them evergreen here. At least they can sit on the shelves until they finally strike fire. But taking risk is important in business, and it's how we learn. We learn from our mistakes, and if we don't make mistakes, then we're definitely not trying hard enough, in my opinion. So
Exactly.
The Red Book for the last 10 to 20 years has not changed a lot. Before the previous owners, it was successful, so they were afraid to make changes because it was successful, and a change might change that. And John, to his great credit, is willing to make try new things, see what works. If it doesn't work, change it again. And I think that's important. I totally agree. I encourage you guys to take risks, because we'll try to help defend if there's a problem, because you won't move forward unless you take some chances. So I think that's good. Speaking of that, one thing is about changes. Someone has mentioned, a couple of people have talked to me about mint sets and proof sets. Clad proof sets and mint sets seem to be declining with popularity and with collectors. And like we buy them in across the counter here, from people, and they don't have a big demand. Have you guys ever thought about maybe only making mint sets and proof sets in silver and eliminating the clad versions, or is that has that ever been a discussion? Because some people have suggested that.
So those are congressionally mandated products for us. So we would be unlikely to make a change in them unless there was some sort of law passed.
We'll be right back with our conversation with Kristie McNally, Acting Director of the United States Mint. I'm John Feigenbaum, CEO and publisher of Whitman Brands, the company behind Gray Sheet, Redbook, and all the Whitman collecting products that you know and love. On the Redbook podcast, Jeff Garrett and I bring you insider perspectives on coin collecting and the most important and influential guests in the hobby. No hype, no fluff. We're just here to give practical advice and insights that you're not going to get anywhere else on any other channels on YouTube. So please subscribe today for expert analysis that cuts through all the noise. And please like this video. And if you find it valuable, drop a comment into there so we can read your thoughts and we will do our best to respond to every one of them. Thank you. So folks, we had a little bit of a technological issue. Thank you for making the effort.
We were talking about mint sets and proof sets, and I didn't know it, but you said that the clad proof sets are mandated by Congress, so they'll continue that way.
Yeah, some of our products are congressionally mandated, so that's one of them. So we'll continue producing them that way.
That's interesting. And also, I've had a lot of people who've discussed with me, they're like, oh, we're getting rid of the pennies, and that'll be, for collectors. Will you be able to make pennies for mint sets and proof sets, you think, going forward with it as a possibility? Because some people have said that might be an idea to, maintain that crucial coin for collectors.
So everything that we do, even as you mentioned, circulating coins, we realize that people collect them. So every decision that we make, we try to keep collectors in mind. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised the outcome of the penny.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. A good teaser. So that'd be good because we all love pennies.
Yeah.
And not that we use them, but we like to collect them. So that's a funny conundrum. I know you won't have a whole lot of time. Next year is going to be the 40th anniversary of the Silver Eagle and the Gold Eagle. Whitman had a new book about it. In the past, you guys have celebrated that anniversary pretty robustly. Do you guys have some plans for that, or is it anything you can share yet?
I think, unfortunately, because of everything we have going on with semi-quincentennial, we're likely to celebrate the anniversary of that coin. So it probably won't be marked next year, but we're always looking for ways to celebrate our coins that consumers love. But yeah, we don't want it to be overwhelmed with all the other products that we're releasing into the market.
Okay, well that's good to know. Yeah, it's just a shame that it overlaps with such an important anniversary for the whole nation. The 250th is such a big deal, and the whole country is going to be focused on that. So that will probably overwhelm it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff, that's Haskell fall to Whitman and you to do that properly. Well, we will do our best to celebrate that 40th anniversary because it is a big deal and it'll only support the U.S. Mint as we promote it. So I think that's worthy. So one last question before we let you go into your busy schedule. You had in the past, in the first year of the Gold Buffalo series, you made these fractional gold Buffalo sets, and they're super popular. And of course, being fractional, that means that you can afford smaller gold pieces, 10th ounce, quarter ounce, half ounce. Any chance we're going to see any of these fractional Buffaloes again?
I will say it's definitely something we're looking into, and it might be very likely that it does make a comeback. Some of it was related to supply issues that we actually stopped making them. But again, we're looking at any unique possibilities. So I think that is likely to show up in the near future.
Also, so if you want to think about outside the box, some suggestions someone also gave me who said to bring up is the idea of making fractional silver coins, because we have an entry levels for different people. And I could see like a half ounce or a quarter ounce American Silver Eagle. I think they would sell really, really well. As silver keeps moving up in price, people are always chasing price points. So that's something maybe to put on the radar.
Yeah, I'll mention that to my team. We're always looking for ways to get collectors in, and I do know the prices of metal right now are a little high. So yeah.
Fractional silver would be amazing. I know that would be amazing. If you had 10th ounce, quarter ounce silver coinage, Silver Eagles or however you would call them, that they would do incredibly well in my opinion. But thank you so much for joining us, Kristie. I mean, it's been a pleasure to have you, and it's really an honor for us in this YouTube channel to hear you just talk plainly about what's going on. And so in full support, and we're excited about the semi-Q next year and to see what you guys are up to. And I hope you have a great show at the ANA next week with you and Jeff. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of exciting things with the coins coming out, and it's fun.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I always love to talk about the Mint. I could go on and on. And I hope.
I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Okay.